I'm live. Woohoo! What's up? There's nobody here, but maybe on the replay. What's up? I've been having issues going live, so let's hope we make it through. See. Welcome. My name's Kai. In case you've never been here before, and for some reason you've happened upon this live as your first interaction, um, I do lives the last Monday of every month. And so I love that synchronistically this year it fell on October 31st. As I'm sure a lot of you know, this week holds many different festivals and ways of honoring the dead, especially if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. And if you're not familiar with this channel, it's called Stephanie Danger, and she kind of serves as an alter ego for women in midlife or anyone in midlife or anyone in life to kind of question the status quo, give the finger to the status quo, and consider different ways of doing things that go against the grain or those shoulds that we all get subjected to in life. So, given that being the nature of this channel, and given the time of year we are in and the day it is, I thought we would explore death and our relationship to it. In Western culture, we often only focus on the negative aspects of death. We avoid it. We avoid talking about it. We're kind of a youth obsessed culture, so that means death is the furthest from that. And so I feel like we don't really embrace it as part of the cycle of life as maybe we could, and we could maybe learn more about ourselves and life in general if we actually embraced death more. So that's the opportunity here, is to just look at it maybe in different ways and reconsider our relationship with it. The other thing I find is, given this channel is about entering midlife and all that comes with that, for me, midlife makes death much more real, because by this time in life, you are inevitably starting to lose loved ones, whether it's grandparents or parents. If you're lucky enough to have not lost anybody by the time you hit midlife, you are blessed. But yeah, by the time you hit your 40s or 50s, loved ones are slowly starting to leave this earth. And along with that, I find midlife also is a time when we become more aware of our own mortality, and the fact that, oh, snap, I am actually not going to be here forever. I feel like we kind of forget about that in our youthful days, which I feel like you're allowed to. That's what youth is for. But once you get to midlife and beyond, you're much more aware of, like, oh, this is a finite experience I'm a part of right now. And I feel like it gives us an opportunity to just remember how precious life is. And so, especially around this time of year, it's a really great time to reflect on life and how that relates to what we are doing here, and that death is inevitable. And so, allowing that to inspire us to do as much as we can while we are breathing air. So, I thought I'd just pose a few questions for us to think about, given the time of year we're in, to really bring the idea of life more into the forefront as we contemplate death. Some of the questions you can ponder are: what is your life about? And in the face of death, are you living? Um, as far as how you live, you can ask questions like: how are you loving? How are you helping? How are you being of service? Uh, these are all reminders that we have sole choice over how we decide to live this one life in this current time that we have been given. And for a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us want to leave some sort of legacy. I never think that this has to be some big, grand thing. It can be simply the impact that you've had on your immediate family. But, we're always in the process of creating a life of meaning for when we leave here. Now, for the last couple of years, I have been drawn to the Mexican celebration Dia de los Muertos, which is also known as Day of the Dead. It happens on the 1st and 2nd of November. In the past, I've done a very small kind of altar and very simple way of celebrating it. But this year I decided to go all in a little more, and I created a home ofrenda, which is a makeshift altar, which you can see behind me. I'm actually going to talk about it a little more in a bit. Uh, I was surprised at how much joy doing this and gathering things for the altar was. Um, Again, I think because we look at death and the loss of loved ones as something that we don't have anymore, you forget that in doing rituals like this, it can actually remind you of all of the things that you love so much about them and kind of keep them alive in your heart. Um, because I am not of Latin heritage, I feel it is important to acknowledge where this custom came from and honor the culture that celebrates this or created this celebration. It's celebrated in Latin America, predominantly in Mexico, and Dia de los Muertos dates back 3,000 years to the Aztecs, who had a cyclical view of the universe and saw death as an integral part of life. For them, death was just a place to rest. A couple of things about Dia de los Muertos: it is not Mexican Halloween. That is doing a disservice to the culture and the celebration. So be mindful of that. I was actually on a workshop last week where a woman from Guadalupe was talking about the celebration. And she said she loves when other people who aren't of Latin culture um, celebrate with Dia de los Muertos, but just to be respectful of it. And one of the things she did mention was, a lot of times people go to the graves of their loved ones and create their ofrendas there. And she was like, she really recommended not going to graveyards, and definitely not going and like taking pictures and making it a spectacle or something that you post on like Instagram. It's a very personal experience for those people, and a way to show respect for it is to allow their time with their loved ones that have passed on. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how I created my ofrenda. It's a very personal experience in how you do it. But I did learn a few things. And if it's a ritual that you feel like incorporating into this time of year for your loved ones, I'm sharing a few things that I discovered in my journey of researching it. So the first thing is a lot of these altars have different levels. Um, if you have two levels, it's considered to represent the division between the earth and the sky. In traditional altars in Mexico, they often have seven levels because those represent the seven destinations a soul must cross to be able to rest in eternity. I simply did mine. I used a couple of cardboard boxes, some pretty colorful material, and there you have it. Again, so much fun. It's like playing, which I'm a big fan of in midlife, to play. And so that's how I decided to do mine. Um, it's also suggested that you incorporate uh, all four natural elements in some way, shape, or form into your altar. Wind can be represented by incense. Copal is an incense that was used in ancient times and was burned for special ceremonies. And it's also believed to draw in your loved ones. Earth can be represented by flowers, fruits. I have a few pumpkins, fire, obviously with candles, and water. You can set out water, water for the flowers. They also like to set out a glass of water for your loved ones to quench their thirst after the long journey to come visit you. Now, other than the natural elements, there are a bunch of different symbolic elements that you can add to the ofrenda. This is very much personal choice and what you desire to do. What's interesting about mine is I created that arch and then learned that they actually like to have arches in the on the altar because it represents the portal from the land of the dead to our land. And so I guess just instinctively I decided to do that, and I think it came out kind of pretty. Skulls represent death, and when they are the colorful ones, like uh, this one, um, it's said to acknowledge death, but also to celebrate life. And it's a way to introduce death and dead people to children in a way that is celebratory instead of frightening. So I love understanding the meaning and purpose behind these. Um, I got this one when I was in Mexico a few years ago. I actually bought this and was thinking of my dad. It's a little darker, but it's so gorgeous. I absolutely love it. And I don't know, it reminds me of him. Um, and so I stick that in the center. Oh, the one other thing I wanted to mention about honoring the culture. When I went to buy a lot of the objects that are on here, I made a conscious effort to go to a Mexican market in a part of Los Angeles and to consciously support people from that culture. It was actually really interesting. It's truly a Mexican market. No one spoke English, so I was having a grand old time translating while not really knowing a lot of Spanish. But I think it's really important to be respectful of these cultures and to support them as a way of thanking them for creating these celebrations that we can partake in. Another part of the altar is to create a feast. I actually don't have much food on here. The actual celebration is from tomorrow to the next day. And so tomorrow night, I am actually going to make some pancakes because my dad loved pancakes, and make some tea because the English side of my family, like literally all day long, we would always have tea and cookies or tea and something. So I am going to have a kind of simple breakfasty kind of feast celebration tomorrow night with some pancakes and a cup of English breakfast tea. The other thing that's not on here yet that I'm going to add is little tea lights for each of the loved ones I have up here, and I will light one for each of them when I sit here tomorrow evening and just enjoy their company. A few other things, elements you can add. The papel picado is these colorful cut out tissue papers. They can also represent the natural element of wind. And because of the way they dance and move in the wind, it also helps to represent the feeling of a celebration. Um, I have some salt over to the side, which you probably can't see. They like to put a little bit of salt out to purify the souls and so to avoid them from being corrupted from earthly, I don't know, tendencies. And then Of course, I think probably the most important thing to add to your ofrenda are pictures of your loved ones. I also added a few other objects that remind me of my loved ones. The people I have up here, up on the top, there's my grandfather. That's my dad. And then I have another picture of him right here. And that's my grandmother. And then down here is my grandparents on my mom's side. That's their wedding picture. Next to them is my great great grandmother on my dad's side, who I never knew, my dog Foxy, and my great grandmother on my mom's side, who I did get to meet when I was young and like 8, before she passed away. I have a couple of on here. I have my grandmother on my mom's side always had some whiskey every night. I have a little bottle of brandy next to my great grandmother on my mom's side because she always used to have a brandy every day. They both lived to 98, so I think it's a obviously a life affirming ritual to do in one's life. Um, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it for what's up there. As I said, this is the first time that I have been this thoughtful in creating the altar. Oh, the one other thing I wanted to mention are the sempashuli, or is that how you pronounce it? Sempasuchi. Sorry, my bad. Sempasuchi or Aztec marigold. Those are all the flowers that you see around. There's a big old bouquet right there. Um, they were also used as a guide for the souls to show them the path that leads to the altar. The significance of the marigolds is that they represent the sun and they illuminate the altar. There's also, I have a bunch of the petals from a few of the marigolds, that also is a way of leading the way for the spirits of your loved ones. The light from the candles also does that. Um, Another interesting way to do the celebration that I discovered in my research was this guy does a dinner party. And because a big part of Dia de los Muertos is, a feast and a celebration, he has a dinner party, but he asks each guest to send them a picture of a loved one who has passed away. And then instead of putting place cards for where everyone is going to sit, he places the picture of the loved one where they're going to sit. And so then when everybody gathers, they are having dinner with a loved one who's passed. It creates conversation about the loved one. And I think it reminds us that we should be grateful of the grief that comes with losing loved ones, because the grief means that we loved and we felt love and we had care and concern for another. And so, in some ways, it can be seen as a blessing that we feel this grief because it gave us opportunities to feel deep love in our heart. I also found a lovely ambient mix of music for Dia de los Muertos that I'm going to put a link to after I get off this live. And you can enjoy that tomorrow if you choose. I think that's it for sharing. I really wanted to just share it because I am feeling such great joy and love for all my loved ones. And I lost my dad a little over 10 years, 12 years ago now. And, for those of you who have lost loved ones, I'm sure it may be the same for you. Some years are not so bad. Other years, you just feel a deep sense of sorrow. And I've really been wanting to connect with him more in the last couple of years, maybe because it feels like the longer it is from when he died, the less I feel his presence. And so doing this really re-enlivens the joy I have connected to him and my other loved ones. So I just wanted to share that. My final request is if you do watch this and are moved to honor your loved ones, I would love if you shared in the comments a thought, a remembrance, something maybe you learned from a loved one that you've lost. Share it in the comments as a way to honor them and keep them alive in the world and in your heart. So I think that's it. I think I made it. I was worried. I was having a lot of hard times getting on the live. It wouldn't let me. So thanks for being here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I always appreciate that. And please share. Oh, I see there's people here. Oh, but they're just spam. Um, you know what? I'm gonna celebrate. That was the first time I ever got comments on a live. So woohoo for that. Even if they are spam. And oh, I'm just gonna get out the way so you can get just a gander at my ofrenda. Oh, it makes me so happy. Anyways, I wish you lots of love and joy around this time of year. I know that's not necessarily the thing we think about around Halloween. And yes, sending you lots of love as always. Love you.